Teslacam. Whoa, yeah. Are you satisfied?
Scott was driving his Tesla Model 3 Performance in Scottsdale, Arizona. As he approached a red light, he noticed he was pulling into pole position next to a McLaren 570S. He was hoping that the driver of the McLaren would engage in a drag race, so he looked over at them as they both pulled up to the red light. He almost couldn't believe who was behind the wheel of the McLaren. Scott had his window down and locked eyes with NFL wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald. He got his attention to see if he was interested in a little friendly race, and he agreed. When the light turned green, they both hit the juice pedal. Scott admits that, in the end, he had to let Fitz come back for the win since he's a huge fan. Scott added that Larry has been spotted around town driving a Tesla, and he wonders why he took his McLaren out for a spin instead. Perhaps he'll rethink that next time. Now, this wasn't Scott's only race. A few days later, he was stopped at a red light when he heard this guy in a Maserati revving his engine as he approached from behind. They both rolled down their windows at the light, and Scott smiled and gave him finger guns pointing forward. The Maserati driver responded, "It's on." This time, Scott wasn't going to give away the victory. After the other driver was crushed off the line, he asked Scott at the next opportunity to roll his window down. The guy was laughing, completely blown away at how fast the Model 3 Performance was. Then he said, "Yeah, but can your car do this?" He proceeded to rev his engine a lot, and they both had a good laugh. Surin lives in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and he's seen a Lamborghini Urus driving around pretty aggressively in his neighborhood. One night, they both stopped at a red light, and Surin decided to show him who's boss with his Model 3 Performance. When the light turned green, he unleashed the Tesla's power. Surin left him in the dust, and we imagine the Lamborghini driver was glad they weren't racing for pink slips. Charles was letting his daughter Lauren drive home from volleyball in their Model 3 Performance when he saw this Nissan 370Z pull up. Charles figured he'd want to race and told his daughter to gun it once the light turned green. Before it had a chance, the other driver rolled his window down to show Charles his beverage. Charles asked if he had one for him. Before he could answer, Lauren floored the juice pedal and nearly broke her dad's neck. When they got to the next light, the other driver was nice enough to share a drink. Jonathan had just exited out of a mall in Wayne, New Jersey. He decided to turn on the full self-driving beta during his next turn as his Model Y was just pulling into a double left lane. That's when he pulled alongside a Mercedes-Benz AMG E-Class. The FSD beta made the turn a lot faster than the Benz did, but it stayed in its lane and performed the turn perfectly. This seemed to upset the Benz driver, and they decided to cut Jonathan off after the turn, almost sideswiping him in the process. They ended up side by side at another intersection at a red light. He revved his engine and scooted up as if he wanted to race. Jonathan says that any other day, he would have jumped off the line and smoked him, and it would have been a dream come true. This time, his wife was in the car, and she hates it when he races in their Tesla. He decided not to entertain the idea to avoid getting yelled at. When the light turned green, the Benz shot off the line as Jonathan casually sped up. The Benz got about a car length ahead of him when Jonathan's wife completely shocked him by saying, "Punch it." Without hesitation, Jonathan slammed the pedal down, quickly catching up to the other driver and eventually passing him going at a high speed right before the two lanes merged. The Benz scurried off in embarrassment. Unfortunately, Jonathan ended up going too fast to make his exit, and he got rerouted into the back roads, adding time to the trip. His wife said, "It's okay, we're in the winner's lane." It was the best way to finish off the night. Jason was driving his Model 3 in Melbourne, Australia when a Ford XY Falcon GT started to tailgate him very closely. Jason thinks the driver may have had a problem with electric vehicles, as he quickly made an aggressive overtake over double white lines. At the next intersection, he proceeded to do burnouts in close proximity to other vehicles and directly in front of Jason's. The state of Victoria has strict laws against this sort of behavior, so Jason reported the driver through the Victoria Police website. About 3 weeks later, he received a call from the police officer who was handling the case. The officer was amazed at the quality of footage captured by the Tesla. He told Jason that the driver was going to be summoned to court on multiple driving offenses. Jason asked if he might need to appear in court, but the officer said that, with this much video evidence, it was highly unlikely that Jason would need to testify. Clint was driving his Model S in Gahanna, Ohio. When he got the pole position at a red light, he decided to put the hammer down once the light turned green. He was so focused on anticipating the green light, he didn't notice the Ohio State Highway Patrol trooper pulling up right behind him. When the light turned green, Clint gunned it. The state trooper sped up behind him, then pulled up alongside him at the next red light and asked him to roll down the window. He had a friendly chat with Clint about being safe and not hitting the gas pedal so hard at the light in the future. Clint says that the trooper was a really amazing guy and that he will try not to gas his Tesla so hard in the future. Robert was driving his Model 3 Performance in Orlando, Florida. As he was leaving a shopping mall, he found himself next to a Lamborghini Huracan at a red light. Robert appreciated the fact that he'd pulled up alongside an Italian supercar. Looking over to the driver of the Lamborghini, he couldn't tell if the driver had accepted his invitation to drag race. Robert hit his juice pedal anyway and easily left the Lamborghini behind. This wasn't really a straight-up race, but that Lamborghini sure looks nice. The next video comes from the German Autobahn, famous for having no speed limit. The German government recommends a maximum speed of 130 kilometers per hour, or about 80 miles per hour, but drivers can legally go as fast as they want. Jan was driving 230 kilometers per hour on the Autobahn in his Model 3 when this old Volkswagen switched into the fast lane going 80 or 90 kilometers per hour. Jan had to brake really hard, and when he flashed the other driver with his lights, he ignored it and didn't change lanes back behind the truck. Jan says that the other driver broke the unspoken rule of the free speed sections of the Autobahn. Never merge into the fast lane without checking behind you. Ahmad was driving his Model Y Performance in Toronto, Ontario, Canada when he pulled up next to a truck at a red light. Ahmad didn't realize it at the time, but the truck driver was apparently in full-blown race mode. The truck squeezed in front of him just to give him a little brake check. Ahmad was confused about what was going on. He took the high road and let the truck driver have the win. This submitter was driving his Model 3 Performance back from lunch. A gold semi-truck was late turning left, with the lane immediately merging to one lane. Obviously he was going slow, so the submitter passed him on the right. The truck driver didn't like that one little bit, so he decided to start tailgating the Tesla. After the next red light, the truck driver got in front of the Tesla, then proceeded to block him. The submitter says that it felt like the truck driver was taunting him to try to pass again. When he did try, the truck driver basically tried to run him off the road. He says the truck was way faster than he expected, but in the end, it was no match for the Tesla. Josh pulled up to a red light in his Model 3 Performance in Rochester, New York. Once the light turned green, he decided to punch it. A car leaving a plaza ran a red light and made a wide turn in front of Josh, turning straight into his lane. Josh was glad he had the winter wheel and tire package suitable for the conditions in New York this time of year. Josh drove home using autopilot the whole way. Heather was driving to work in her Model 3 Performance. She'd been stuck behind some slowpokes for a while, so she decided to get in the right lane since it was clear and her exit was coming up. That's when the driver of a BMW, who'd been driving erratically and riding close to other cars for miles, suddenly cut across all the lanes and jumped in front of her. At first, it seemed like the BMW driver was going to launch past everyone, but then she noticed a cop car on her left and locked up her brakes right next to him. Heather says it was pretty awkward, and it got even worse when the BMW driver proceeded to cut in front of the cop car. That's doubly awkward. David was driving in his Model Y when traffic began to come to a stop, but the driver behind him wasn't paying attention. They swerved away from the Tesla, missing by mere inches. This clip's submitter was driving his Model 3 in Los Angeles, California when he saw this shooting star. To finish up this week's episode, let's all wish him luck that his wish for a Cybertruck will be granted. Hey guys, if you can see that red subscribe button, that means you're not subscribed to the Wham Bam channel yet. It would mean the world to us if you would do that, so please hit that subscribe button. Thanks!
Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Cybertruck? My friends all drive diesel, I must make amends.